I love your piece. I can't stop looking at your piece.
Ah, thank you.
It's
Your art is
beautiful.
beautiful as well. Very
Oh my gosh.
Excellent. Cool, great. Well, thank you everyone who is watching. Welcome. We're glad to have you here this evening for the virtual opening of Material Importance, which features the fantastic artwork of Laura Clark and Monica Nudelman. You can see some of it behind me, and we're going to have a closer look at some of it a little later. We're going to take a tour of the exhibition, and then we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about some of the pieces. So I will be your host for this evening. My name is Stephen Snyder. I am the Gallery and Communications Coordinator for the West Vancouver Community Arts Council. And I'm coming to you live from the Silk Purse Arts Center, where this amazing exhibition is taking place. And we are on the unceded territories and ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular here on the North Shore. That means the Squamish Nation, the Musqueam Nation, and the Tsleil-Waututh Nation. And we're incredibly grateful to be on these beautiful lands, and incredibly grateful to our host nations and neighbors for their stewardship of these lands since time immemorial. Just a few housekeeping things out of the way before we get to talk to these amazing artists. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave those in the chat. We will be getting to those later in the evening after we've gone through our tour and had our little bits of discussion. So if you have anything you want to ask or say to our amazing artists, you can drop it in there and we'll get to it. And the other little bits of housekeeping, I guess, is where and when you can see this awesome art exhibition. So we are at the Silk Purse Arts Center here in West Vancouver in the Ambleside neighborhood. We are next to John Lawson Park, and we are open Wednesday through Sunday from 12 to 4 p.m. So you can check out the exhibition anytime then. So now it's time to get to the best part, which is talking to our artists. So we have two fantastic multimedia artists with us tonight, Laura Clark and Monica Nudelman. They work in a variety of mediums, and their process for using these mediums is incredibly important to their artwork and to this exhibition in general. So let's have each of the artists say a little bit about yourselves and introduce yourselves to the audience. Let's go alphabetically. So we'll start with Laura. If you could introduce yourself to everyone watching.
Sure. Hi. Thanks for having us. This is amazing. And nice to see you, Monica. I'm so thrilled to be showing with you as well. This is really an honor. So I wanted to just thank you both first. So I'm Laura Clark, and I am a photo-based artist. I work with photography and also with more recently sculptural work, which I incorporate my own photography in. And I usually incorporate natural or artificial materials as well. Often it's often flowers, so we can get into that a little bit later when I'm talking about my piece maybe. So I live and work in Vancouver, and I have a studio in East Vancouver. I have a little home studio space that I've carved out since COVID actually, and since I've started doing my sculptural work. So that's primarily where I've been doing my sculptural work is at home as well. And I have a background actually many years ago. I went to Emily Carr for graphic design. My passion was always photography. I would say that I was inspired by my dad at a young age when we would do still life's portraits. And I actually started as an adult with his old film camera. So that was really cool, and I still have it. And that's really where the inspiration came from after a number of years was kind of reflecting on what passions I had and going back to photography. And that's where my love of art started again. So that's a little bit about what I do and how I love art.
That's great. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you.
Now, Monica, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm gonna read because I prefer to express myself, and then we can talk.
Totally.
Hello, everyone. My name is Monica Nudelman. I am an artist living in North Vancouver. And I would like to say about me, my work is created from unwanted, discarded materials, from all kinds of papers and fabrics. Collecting these materials over the years has created a sacred experience for me. The practice of taking a deeper look and recognizing the background behind these now unwanted objects, be that vintage magazine or a box of product that was shipped from place to place, wondering about their origins and the circumstances in which they were let go, always fascinated me. That's how my process starts, with questions, followed by more questions that lead me into giving new context and meaning to these stories. I like to walk around the city and find inspiration around me, from the way trees cast shadows on the ground to the seasonal transformation of nature, how colors change so fast and at the same time so gradually in their transition. Overall, the natural transformation of all things, and that's what I hope to bring to my work. Asking myself, what do I feel from this? What do I want to say? How can I incorporate new meaning into what's already there? Sharon Callis is an artist from unwanted materials that I admire very much. She used to say, I know that enough of anything can be made into something. So seeking meaning through searching these materials and eventually their composition allowed me to look closer what's around me and see all the possibilities that could come out of that.
That's amazing, Monica.
You're amazing too. Thank you.
No, that really resonates for me.
Yeah.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah, because I'm a little shy, sometimes I lost my mind. I don't know what to say.
No, but you articulated it really beautifully, and I have to say that I can see why we're showing together, because when you're saying about materials and transformation, and a lot of what my work is about is along those same paths, and is really rooted in what's left behind and remnants, and the beauty in those moments. The fact that it's so much about time and how time passes and how things transform in those moments. And that I think that's why photography fascinates me, you have that ability to capture that moment. But I think a lot of the times too, it is about curiosity and taking the time to make those observations and maybe see the everyday, or what may be everyday or familiar to a lot of people, but you see something in that particular, whether it's a second or you're bringing something to that. But yeah, there's transformation in the and transitions in those moments too.
And the history that comes along, it's very interesting, because sometimes you are touching materials that it doesn't exist anymore, some
Right.
kinds of papers, and what happened with those papers during the time, So you can really feel what the materials brings to our moment, the history that brings.
Absolutely. No, it's true. I was gonna, so a lot of when you're saying, like, in terms of the I'm reflecting on the show, the name of the show, the exhibit, of material importance. And for me, there is layers of meaning with that in that it's about materiality and the materials we're using as artists to make, incorporate, create, express, all of those things. But you know, it's also it's not just the materials that we're using, it's what the meaning is that we're giving those, how we're expressing it, what value, what sentiment, what purpose, or what meaning we're expressing or sharing, or maybe trying to convey, or maybe there isn't an intent, it's just to share it, to see how it's received. So
and the interesting part,
multifaceted.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
The interesting part as well is there's something unwanted, you know? So it's something that you throw away, but it's still in the planet.
Yes.
So what we're gonna do with that? We're gonna see everything like garbage? No, we can transform in art, right?
Right. Right.
So this is fascinating.
No, it's we need more longer than an hour, Stephen.
Everything that the two of you are saying, I think the seeds of that is what the jury saw when they decided to put you two together in an exhibition, or these common elements, these threads that they thought, well, I think these two are really, they could really talk to each other, these bodies of work. They kind of touch on similar things, but in very different ways.
Right.
Yes, right.
Well, and it's interesting because with the photography too, what you're saying in terms of material, like I've really started looking at the photography more than just the image, but the paper it's on, and how to utilize that and present the 2D in more of a 3D, you know, sculptural way, so that there is more form and hopefully adding expression and just giving it more depth, perhaps. But it is about kind of more, not just the image, but the material and how you are utilizing that to convey the message.
And I became a collector, you know, a hoarding, like a hoard. No, but it's true, because we start doing, so we can stop collecting all kind of materials and papers and fabrics, and you mix, you paint, you start. It's it's unbelievable.
Well, and those sorts of things, I absolutely can relate to that, because my little corner that I carved out during COVID in my basement has gotten bigger and bigger, from cardboard boxes to containers, you know, takeaway food containers that I just don't want to get rid of because I know I could use them somehow. I wasn't doing that when I was doing photography. It's just it's a different kind of art and work. But the process with the sculptures, because I'm incorporating materials, I look at fabric now, I'm looking at ceramics, things that I think, oh, I could use those one day, or they may inspire me, or so. Yeah, I completely understand. And yours is very layered. You use a lot of different materials in such fascinating ways. So
yeah, I am doing right now, since a year, I'm going deep in paper mache and painting, because I want to explore the touch of the painting, like something that you have a pleasure to see, because you want to touch the paint, because it's not something flat. So I'm happy with the results, because I am going completely organic, only organic materials like old fabrics and old papers and glue, and I can transform and make at least a happy painting, because I like to paint happy things. I like colors, you know, and to bring you curiosity and bring you kind of pleasure, you know, to watch it.
This is a great start, everybody.
Great start.
Hi, Stephen.
Yeah,
My
no, this is
God.
great. How do you guys talk for the whole time? This is wonderful. But let's maybe have a look at some of this artwork, and we're going to take a brief little tour of the exhibition here at the Silk Purse. I recommend everyone watching that you come down in person to see it because it is 100 times better. This video is not do it justice. There is so much happening in all of these pieces, so many layers, so many things to see. But let's take a little tour.
I'm excited.
Quer gravar?
Okay, so as you come in off of our waterfront entrance, this is the view of the gallery.
Oh, wow.
And as you come in, we've got some bios and statements from our artists, so you can read a little bit more about what they have to say about their work. And then we come on in and we start off with this piece by Monica. It's really neat.
I can say this is all unwanted materials like lemon bags and
Yeah.
It's so textural. It's very cool.
yeah, the texture is in the moment is capturing my attention.
Yeah. And this piece we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth later in a few minutes.
Okay.
But then the two pieces beside it, these are both very interesting, very different from everything else you have in the show.
Yeah. It's all from recycled materials.
Yeah.
Paintings, acrylic, and the support is paper mache.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I have few furnitures that I paint. I make collage.
Yeah, this map stool is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's part of my collection. It's a map, I think, from the 90s, before the computers. And this is a chessboard, also vintage, and all the cartoons are vintage as well. And this is very interesting because it's like, I see like everything is nice because it's people around flowers, around colors, and the couch is like a comfort zone or a comfort moment.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Fabrics,
That's
it's
so
all
nice.
little pieces you can see from there, but personally you're going to see that's all little pieces. And the frame is also paper mache.
Yeah, it was great to see all of the paper mache. It's not something you tend to see a lot used.
No, because it's something from because my story in the reality that I start doing collage with 13 years old, because my father gave me a subscription of a French magazine. And I was so fascinated with the magazines that I said, I can't throw away. I have to collect those images because it was great for me, you know. Then I start making collage in my room and my mom became so mad with me that I started doing all over the room. And then I never stop anymore. This is a pizza box from Domino's. And I want to celebrate Canada. So I did, because I did my intention was to make a collection of fashion fancy bags, like a funny joke of the fancy bags, right? So I
Nice.
use only recycled boxes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Amazing.
beautiful, beautiful.
And now we move into work by Laura.
Yeah, very beautiful.
So this is, yeah, this is one of the, I think this is one of the heavier sculptural pieces. And it's one of the photographs I took that's torn and fragmented with a vase, ceramic vase. And these are a series of photos that are of artificial flowers that I took in cemeteries. Really looking at the wear and tear and the passage of time, and the shadows and the light, the natural shadows and light, and really kind of looking at the different almost moods and feelings of sorrow and sadness and joy and pain. Getting in close to the textural parts of the material, but the meaning behind it too.
Yeah.
And then this, that's the two pieces with the incorporated plates and it's jewelry, floral jewelry, which has been popular in different periods of time and worn for different reasons by women, mainly women, on different occasions, I think, and just really just incorporating the floral elements in different ways to express emotion, and really flowers as an extension of human expression and emotion.
Yeah.
And these are the plates, those pieces are, I'm looking at them in terms of mementos, lives once lived. We often, see plates or china in collections, and they're used on special occasions.
Yeah.
Almost like keepsakes, sort of treasures. And these are two photos that were also taken in cemeteries that were a bouquet that I just really was taken by them. I really felt like it showed the sense of the passage of time, but also that there are beauty, the strength and the beauty in the moments and the memories.
Totally.
And these smaller pieces are incorporating my photography with artificial flowers and elements. Again, using different materials and looking at materiality and kind of playing in some ways the tangible with the intangible, but trying to, although it's a very different process than photography is, I think the sculptural process is with the same intent for me, that we can capture a moment and keep that moment and hold on to it and embrace it. And that was actually a photograph taken, a rose was wrapped in cellophane and it had, the rain had got in. And it's,
that's great. All the bubbles, yeah.
all the
I was
bubbles,
wondering what
yeah.
that was.
So I was really playing with kind of the element of what's real and not real again. A lot of it is within memory for me. And this is more of well, it's entitled Sweet Memories and daisies and affection. That daisies are really can symbolize affection and love and longing. And this is different kind of feeling, a lot more worn and a little bit more sense of grief, I guess.
Yeah.
This was a special piece for me to do because I started cutting out pieces of the photograph with that and trying to capture mood with different colors within the piece. So I didn't incorporate artificial elements or real flowers. I was working more with color and shape. And all these pieces, they are done in its entirety. For me, It's very conceptual perhaps, but for me, it's important to do a piece all the way around. It's not just what you can see on the surface. It's what sometimes is what you can't see that is also very important and matters. And you can't always see feelings and emotions and thought. Not everyone expresses those either, but I really felt like each piece deserves to be completely finished all the way around.
No, it's an interesting presentation, and to make the presentation part of the piece.
Yes.
And these two were two photos I took again in a cemetery, and they are actually, it's those effects. I really, one of my things that I love is to see natural lighting and shadows and different materials that can create different effects naturally. And these were actually wrapped in cellophane, and it had been raining once again, but it was a bit darker. And that's where that kind of crinkly look comes from. And I really felt like it was a beautiful element to be able to see and capture there.
Yeah. Wow, thank you for the little tidbits on each piece, everybody. That was great. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't asking for it, so I'm glad you did it. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, no, that was it's great to see everything kind of together and almost juxtaposed, but they really flow together really well. I think your bodies of work, they really speak to each other.
I think so too. It's as an artist too, sometimes it feels like you're making this work, you're in your own head with your own thoughts and your own ideas. And it's really nice as an artist to hear another artist whose work is relatable too, and working on the same sort of ideas. It's really refreshing and comforting that there's other artists that are using materials and yeah, it's really nice, lovely.
And everyone watching, again, if you have questions or comments, leave those in the chat. But now we're going to go a little bit more in depth on some of these pieces, so you can hear a little bit more about the process and inspirations. And we are going to start off with a work by Monica. This was a cool piece called Reclaimed Soul. So I'm just going to pull that up. Excellent. Yes, so Monica, please tell us about this work.
As I said, I am working with paper mache. So I made the frame with all kinds of papers wrapped in masking tape. And then I dip in a white glue and I wait for a few days. And then I start painting. And I like to sometimes try different kinds of paintings. It can be even pastel, dry pastel, or acrylics, or oil, or any kind of painting that is more, let me see, more, I forgot the word. I'm sorry, but I'm continuous. The idea of my work, as I said, is to be something organic, and you want to touch the piece, so you want to see in all angles, and that is comfortable for the eyes to see the forms of the work. Is not something plain, right? So this is the most important goal for me when I work with paper mache, is the forms. That depends of the angle you look at, you can see the comfort of the materials, like they are warm. For example, the back of this work is like a duvet, an old duvet from children, right? So this is a real reclaimed soul, as I see, like paper mache for me is kind of comfort. It's like something warm that embrace you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think the most beautiful thing I've ever heard said about paper mache.
Thank you. Thank you. But I really feel this comfort, because sometimes I've been working for 15 years. So I work a lot with collage, and I start wanted to feel something that comes outside of the board, So I have other works like the one that I show you, the vase with the couch. That is for me. I try to glue only one part of the small little pieces of paper that you feel the same desire to touch the painting. Is something that goes beyond the board.
Yeah.
So this is I'm very excited to work on that.
Yeah, so the artwork reaches out into the space beyond itself, kind of.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And the sensation, that the feeling that you want to touch the work is fascinating as well.
Yeah. Yes, so often we're told not to touch the artwork.
Yeah. So you leave the exhibition with the desire to touch the work.
Yeah, that's great, because a tactile experience is,
Yeah.
or at least the feeling of wanting to have a tactile experience is it's very important. It's very connective.
Yeah. And if you go in a big exhibition that you see an artist that creates something organic, you can see that all people, everyone wants to touch the work. It's different, right?
It actually almost feels like it's coming off the screen.
Yeah.
Like it's cool that way. It's got that much dimension and depth. So
yeah,
I do want to touch that.
Yeah.
It's you can sense it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of the sort of the collage aspect of cutting up all of that fabric, it's also, like you were saying, it's a comfortable thing, it's like an old blanket or something, it's something
Yes.
that, well, you could see being wrapped around you in a different way, in a different life.
Yeah. And I don't need to buy anything, any material. I'm so proud of that,
Yeah.
Stop consuming.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts about that beautiful piece, Monica. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, it's interesting because both the pieces that each of you chose to speak about tonight are the pieces that you sent first to use in all our promo materials. So they must, something about them must really resonate with you.
Yeah.
And they also, it's pretty, when I first saw them together, it was unreal. How they play off each other, they really speak to one another. I felt it was really interesting.
True. Yes.
So we're going to see a little bit more of that as we pull up Laura's fantastic piece, which is called Gone, Not Gone. Laura, please tell us about this work.
Sure. So this is one of the sculptural works you've seen in the virtual tour, and I've been talking about. So all the photography in the pieces I do take, and this photograph was actually taken as you've probably picked up on, I visit a lot of cemeteries. A lot of my work, I guess the trajectory of my subject matter and my art practice changed with my own experience with personal loss. So that's where a lot of my subject matter relates to. And this picture was taken in a cemetery in New Zealand, which was my last trip before COVID. So this is from that trip. And I spent quite a bit of time over a couple of days at this one cemetery in particular that was absolutely fascinating for me. And there was very, very windy. And I took some video footage too of this. There was these wild daisies everywhere and they were just blowing in the wind. And it was beautiful. The moment was beautiful, but it was also chilling and sad, but you were surrounded by lives that you felt were missed. And anyway, so this piece for me, I was reading the gravestone and it says, not gone from memory, not gone from love, but gone to our Father's house above. And something about it just really made me stop and reflect and think about, I guess, my own mortality, I guess, perhaps, and reflect on loved ones that have people have lost, but also those memories of those people that people have lost, and how we continue to devote our love and our time and affection, and the ways we show that. And for me, flowers that's what I've noticed, that flowers are commonly used in many different countries I've visited in occasions of love and loss, life and death, and in celebration and memory and mourning. So this is really comes from that place. And so I collected, daisies have a special spot in my heart because it really reminds me of love and affection. And I collect flowers and press them, and I collected the daisies and I pressed them and I had them and I thought, this is perfect. And I do try, and it's maybe hard to see, but in some of the lines in that, there's actually stems that follow the lines in the photograph of a daisy, and floating seeds, to express that there is hope and life does carry on. And there may be sadness, but there's also beauty, and there's love, and there is hope, and there's new beginnings. And I think that's a big part of what I hope my pieces convey for people, and that it's about human connection for me. I really a lot of my work is about that, about relatability and human connection, and that the human landscape and emotion and experiences. So I guess that's what this piece is about for me.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. That's lovely. And it's amazing to, this photo doesn't do it justice. As Laura said, there are other little elements that you can see, but how this illusion, well, not so much illusion, but how the real materials interplay with the photograph. It's uncanny, there's something very surreal and magical about it.
Well, thank you for saying that, because really I really try and incorporate natural and artificial elements. And that is really kind of if you will, for lack of a better word, maybe the tension, like in terms of my own curiosity, my own questions, my own thoughts around, like many of us, I guess, may have about life and afterlife, or what happens. And really for me, it's looking at what was, what is, and what might be, or what will be in some, which we all know, but don't possibly feel comfortable or want to talk about. But I do think it is, I do really, the process is so important to me with these sculptures, and so meaningful, and it is so layered. Like literally there's thin layers with different elements often in them to give that depth, like you're saying, to try and show, I guess, give some life to the piece as an experience. Yeah, so it's definitely, I guess, my way of embracing a moment that I've experienced and sharing it, and a moment in, literally a moment in time, and almost like literally, well, I guess it's encasing it, you know, in a different way than my photography does, because I'm physically showing this material to capture it and hold on to it. I guess like many of us do with life, with things, you know, parts of our lives, and what our recollections are.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Thanks for sharing it. It's great to see it on the screen like that. To be able to talk about it.
No, that was again, it was interesting how you both work with very different materials in very different ways. But a lot of your, I don't know if inspiration is the right word, but some of the things that come across are very similar, like this idea, like Monica talking about wanting to be able to touch it and to have the artwork kind of escape its frame, you know? And then Laura, your pieces, very much play with those types of planes. You know, it's like what's coming out is how flat is it? Where are all these layers? And then again, talking about transformation is very big for both of you, not in terms of the materials you're using, but the subject of your piece.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think that it's about what's real, what, you know, this sense of surrealism and realism, and kind of the push and pull and the fine line. And sometimes there's these, you know, blurred memories, or time kind of might skew them, you know, the passages or what's gone on. But
yeah, it's a kind of mix of melancholy and happiness.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we have our past, and sometimes it's not a happy moments, but we are alive now. We are here. We can put flowers. We can celebrate, right?
Absolutely.
So it's very nice to both walk together, right?
Yes.
Both feelings walking together.
No, that's a beautiful way of putting it. And I think it's about real life. You know, I mean,
yeah.
For me, it's really about the connection we have with each other. And it's interesting. My inspiration didn't come from, didn't come from COVID. My inspiration, I had been thinking about working with different materials for a while, but it gave me the time. It was like a gift in that way. It was in the terms of the time. But I think COVID did inspire me and reflect on connecting more with, you know, how we're connected, and reflecting on that we do have these, you know, we are all human. We have these same basic desires and needs and emotions and experiences. So it's interesting that the sculptures for me came up in that time. Yeah.
It's interesting, very interesting.
And so in your materials, you both touched on it a little bit. Laura, you collect flowers, I guess, wherever you are, you know, and then obviously your photographs, which you take yourself, which is great. And Monica, how do you come across all of these different and interesting materials that you find?
I'm looking around all the time. If I see a piece of paper in the middle of the street and I see the colors or the letters or I don't know, something, I collect and I clean and I start having ideas, you know. and it's very fun. It's very fun.
That's amazing.
I think collective, I think for collecting, I didn't start collecting as an artist, but I've definitely, I definitely am now. Lots of bins of things, but because you don't know how you're going to use them one day, right? It's inspiration and ideas come with that, and it's, I think being an artist, part of that is problem solving and being resourceful and innovative, and that feeds creativity, and you're inspired. So you don't want to get rid of anything.
And I have a deal with myself that I'm never gonna use unready image. Like you see a photo or something and you just glue it and you just make the collage. No, you have to develop another way to watch that piece of paper or fabrics, right? I have some very funny fabrics from my grandmother, and I mixed with papers. I did some lamps, some with those fabrics. And so it's very fun, because sometimes it comes with some stands and you want to leave those stands because it represents a lot, So, and sometimes a dress can be a painting, or what can be a lamp. As I said, my daughter used to have a very nice dress, nothing special, but it was something very interesting, the mix of the kind of colors. So she was like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I said, I'm going to keep this dress because the fabric is so, impressed me so much. And then now, like 2 months ago, I created a lamp with that dress. It was very, very fun.
Yeah.
And this is what excited me. If I don't have new ideas, I'm not excited to work. I don't want to do something that everybody's doing, or you see. I have to create something. If I don't create, I stop. I wait until the moment that the creation comes back.
Something will nourish you, right? Something feeds your soul that way.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, inspiration comes in so many different forms.
Yes.
Definitely. And you can definitely tell that by checking out your works, both of you. There's a lot to read into them. I think there's a lot of ways that people can interpret them, and figure out, well, what was her inspiration here? What was her inspiration behind doing it this way? I think there's a universality to them for all the reasons that you've both mentioned. The comforting materials, the tactile sensations, the familiar scenes. But they're still so broad, that there are so many stories people can tell, their own stories through the work, that you created. I think that's pretty special.
Yeah. You go home thinking about, this is great.
Totally.
This is the goal.
Well, I really do. I do think art is so important. I always think art has been important, and it really matters, and it's what connects people. I really do believe that. And I think it's very powerful in not only healing, but bringing together and building and celebrating. And I hope I think part of the reason why I make my work is I hope to do those things. And if my work can bring people together, or if some, obviously my own experiences, and I'm influenced by different things are going into my own work. It's personal that way, but if it can convey to someone, or someone can feel something from it or take something away and it's meaningful for them, I don't think you can hope for much more. Anyways, for myself, I can't hope for anything more than that. But people will receive it because they're their own person too. So I feel like once it's out there, it's out to the universe, and then, you know, that's out of your control.
Yeah.
You know, that's it's out there for people to connect with it or feel what they feel or not.
For me, something that is very interesting, when I can see people watching an artwork, I can feel that they are with the heart open, you know. They have an open heart to watch that. So it's a special moment because it's only about money, right? Everything is about money. But this is a special moment when you are watching, you are admire an artwork, you are completely with the feelings, right?
Right. Yeah.
First impression, the first thing that comes to you is feelings. So this is why I believe that art is magic, you know, art can make your day much, much better.
I do agree. I think it's very powerful. I mean, I think it's been, I think people are almost wanting it more these days, is my sense. I mean, this is, you know, wanting it or yearning for it, or starting to make it or exploring it. I mean, you know, we need that expression. We need that. It's such an important form of expression, and I think it's very powerful. I don't.
We can't,
and it is magical.
it. We can't. Really, really.
And I think it really does make a difference. People benefit from it. You know, I know I'm not the first to say that.
Picasso used to say that everybody is an artist until someone tell you that you are not. Very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, everyone has potential.
Yeah.
If you're gonna look at your past, when you were a child, you certainly were an artist, and all your friends make draws and paints, right?
Yeah.
And then disappear magically because nobody told them that they can be an artist, right?
Well, and I think there's just such an energy, but with creating whatever that is, whatever that looks like for someone, you know, whether it's sculpture or woodworking or painting or photography, whatever it might be, I think there's just an energy, and I think it builds a self-awareness and confidence in expression. And I think, you know, I think especially if people start young and exploring those things, I think that is magical. That can really serve as such a positive foundation, and you know, the community, the community here is just, that's magical in itself. If you, once you connect with people and that sense of community with whatever that might be for people, I mean, that's amazing and powerful in itself. You know, when you find your people, you know, that's unreal and can be inspiring. I love to see what other artists do. I find it absolutely fascinating. It blows my mind how people, the ideas and how they create, and like, I find that just, you know, that inspires me.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So
any time of the history, if you read about the artist and the process, their feelings, it's so amazing. It's so romantic, you know, so nice to be in touch.
Yeah, no, it is, it's great. It's wonderful.
Speaking of being in touch, you can check out this exhibition of material importance until November 21st here at the Silk Purse Arts Center. So please, everybody watching, come on down. I think that's a good place to wrap up tonight. If you are interested in learning a little bit more about Monica and Laura before you come in to see their show, in the description of the video, there's links to their websites, so you can check that out and see a little bit more of their work and some behind the scenes stuff probably. And then you can come on down and see the work that they're sharing with us here at the Silk Purse in West Vancouver. So Monica Nudelman, Laura Clark of Material Importance, thank you so much for being here this evening and sharing your thoughts and your inspirations and having these great chats about artwork.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. Can we do this tomorrow night? Thanks so much. And it's such a pleasure. I really appreciate the opportunity, Stephen. And it's great to see you, Monica.
Me too. Thank you so much. Thank you for
wonderful.
I'm very happy.
You've inspired me. I want to go and make some art tonight.
Okay.
Excellent. Great.
Excellent.
Thanks again.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Take
Steve.
care.
Bye. Bye-bye.